مختبر السابع lab number 7, and we will talk today about embryonic development actually, or embryonic folding. But before this, we will mention about some terms that we need to know it. That is, the process of the prenatal developments occur in 3 main stages. And we call this stage as germinal stage and embryonic period with fetal period. This week we will stop on embryonic period because what we need to mention about the third to the 8th week of development is called as embryonic development. So the first 2 weeks after conception are known as germinal stage, while the 3rd through 8th week of development is known as embryonic period, and the time from the 9th week until the birth is known as fetal period. So we will mention about embryonic period and we'll stop on it because as we said that we need to know some events that happen in this period. So embryonic period is also known as organogenesis. We've mentioned about it before in the theoretical lecture. شرحناها احنا الامبريونيك period بالمحاضرة النظرية. وقلنا انه نفس المصطلح الامبريونيك period احنا نقول لها organogenesis. اوكي قبل هذه germinal stage, embryonic period and fetal period هذه مهمة ركزوا عليها انه مصطلحات نستخدمها عادة. And is the time when each of the 3 germ layers, ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, will give rise to a specific tissue and organ from the 3rd to the 8th week of the development. And at the end of this period, at the end of the 8th week, we can see the embryo is look like a human embryo and have most of the important organs inside his body formed, or at least we have some buds or beginning of this person or organs. Okay, so some events that occur during this embryonic period is the most important is neuralation period. Some say that it starts at the end of the 3rd week. We can say that's approximately in the 4th weeks of development after conception. Actually relates on the 3 germ layers. So the neural tube forms by the process is called the neuralation. And neuralation is a process by which the neural plate forms the neural tube, as we mentioned it before in the theoretical lecture. And we said that the new ectoderm will be thickened and form a plate, and this plate day by day will form the tube itself. Okay, so in embryonic period there is a process also called embryonic folding that is actually also formed in the 4th week of development. Sometimes at the end of the 4th week of development. So the flat trilaminar embryonic disc, as we said, it is consists of 3 germ layers, ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, start to be folded and have a shape that is called cylindrical embryo. Why? Because the embryo itself needs to form some tracts, some organs, and this will happen by a folding that is to expect it's longitudinal and transverse folding, and each one will form a result that is lead to the growth of the embryo. So the laterally folding, the longitudinal produce the head and tail. Okay, and we can also say it can form the cranial and the caudal end. Okay, this is the tail and the head, or cranial end and caudal end. This the longitudinal or laterally folding, while the transverse folding forms the sides. Okay, the sides of the embryo that will produce the right and left fold. Okay, as you see right here, showing you the 3 germ layers, and this will the 3 layers will undergo folding, forming a tube that will form in the future a digestive tube, while the lateral this is the lateral ones form the head and the tail, as you see right here. Okay, and you can see that how the future opening of the mouth right here, and the anal canal right here, while this is the primitive gut. This one is all this is one. I mean, this one will transfer to show you that this is a primitive gut, and notochord. Above the notochord there is a neural tube. Okay, so let's come to the derivative itself, and this will also be the same as in the theoretical lecture, but just we will have a review on it. As we said that the embryonic period, when the 3 germ layers will form the specific tissue and organs, as you see that there must be derivatives for ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. And as I told you before, that the ectoderm is formed by epiblast, and which is actually give some derivatives that form some organs, or let's say parts that will keep you in contact with the outside world. Okay, or it maintain the contact with the outside world, like central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. The sensory epithelium of the ear, nose, eye, and epiderm include hair, nail, mammary glands, and other glands like subcutaneous gland that have some secretion to the outside. Look outside. And also we have a pituitary gland and enamel of the teeth. So we can see also the derivative of the mesoderm that can be divided to splanchnic mesoderm and somatic mesoderm. Mesoderm is somehow complex and complicated other than 2 other layers, because it will be divided to the other kind of mesoderm layer, and this will be specialized in order to form other kind of tissues. So like splanchnic is forming muscles, that is also connective tissue, series of digestive and respiratory structure. Also it can form the heart and most blood vessels, and also the somatic mesoderm can form the derms of the skin, bones, and ligaments. Okay, this is not limited to this one. يعني ما نقدر نقول انه بس هذه تكونها الميزوديرم، طبعا هي شغلات هواية، بس انا يعني خلينا نقول I mention about this. Okay, so as a sample or example, so the derivatives of the endoderm, as it seems, endoderm forms the internal structure. Okay, like what? Like lining of the digestive, respiratory, urinary system, and etc. Okay, let's come to finally to the events that happen between week 5 and 8. As a summary, we can say that the limb buds will form, and embryo first looks recognizably like a human, as we said at the end of the week 8. 2 months of pregnancy or time, and head is disproportionately large, as you see right here, and all major organs are in place. Look at here, as you see, we can see the umbilical cord right here, the nose, eyes, and also eyelids is formed right here. Air, you can see right here, and mouth. The limb buds, or let's say the limbs can be shown. Okay, and also toys. Okay, and right here we have an embryonic tail bud, and this will be atrophied later on. Okay, so this is all for lab number 7. See you next week inshallah, and if you have a question please ask me.